Hello and welcome to the Chesapeake Today Show. It's your Executive Director, David Loop.
And Candace Montgomery, Director of Life Enrichment.
Well, Candace, we're going to have, I know, a good interview today, so looking
Yes.
forward to meeting one of our newer team members. But, wow, yeah, we just always say the time's flying, but we're just now talking about the second week of June.
I know, summer is upon us. I love it.
So Memorial Day was good memories, and we can reflect back. And of course, that was a great program. Appreciate everything that happened, Isaiah's efforts, and so a fun event.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, we got a car show going on.
Oh my gosh, you know, I will say, I told this to a resident last week, the car show is one of my favorite things that we do, and it's really, I think, mainly because, especially that first one in the year, it's like that kickoff to summertime. There's just good energy with the car show. You know, everybody's just smiling and upbeat. We always have, you know, whatever type of treats that we have, whether it's food or ice cream, good music, and just everybody has smiles at the car show. You know, I don't know what it is, the memories maybe. But I know our club that comes, they're just really appreciative. They enjoy it so much.
I think there's another thing about the car show that I've now realized. If you have a classic or vintage car, you've purchased it because you're automatically a lifelong storyteller.
That's true.
And they love the gift of gab.
Right.
Because why else would you take a car
That's
to all these
true.
places? Because people want to engage, learn, tell
Yes.
stories,
Yeah.
reminisce.
Most definitely.
So, so I think and we had some good storytellers.
Oh my gosh. I mean, we really did. And I love that. Well, of course, you know, and the winner's already been announced, but I love that we had a new resident win this year. I jokingly told Tom, who has the Mustang that always gets the high votes, although this year he had a competition with that Ford and the Ferrari. It was some stiff competition there.
Yeah.
But I jokingly told Tom, the Mustang owner, I was like, all right, you've won 2 years now, and then you had 1 year in between, and I was thinking that he was going to win, but then when Caitlin was helping me count the votes, but was very had that Mr. Carroll that he won, and he said, I've never won anything before, and he just felt so proud to be a new resident with 88 votes. That might be the most votes that we've ever had, so that was really neat.
Well, and you know, and just to your efforts and to the clubs bringing vehicles to go from that Model T to the muscle cars to the Ferrari. I mean, we're talking decades of.
And it's nice too that, like with the Ferrari, that was Pam Cole's nephew. And it's just, they get excited to bring their family members, and, you know, Ken Nolan's out there with the Ford. And I love seeing that. You know, I feel like we have lots of folks who know somebody who has a classic car, and them to be able to come and showcase the community. It's a nice thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we went through some ice cream and some popcorn.
We did.
And,
Yes, everything that, you know, it's funny how folks really get excited about the little things. The popcorn machine, I mean, we have residents that will wait for there to be like a fresh bag of it as soon as we start popping it. So it's just something special. It's probably the salt and the butter and all the bad things for you that make it so good. Same with ice cream, but I love to see the childlike wonder. I think that's also something I love about the car show is everybody just gets really, they feel like a kid again, and it brings back their memories, and it's fun.
Absolutely,
I enjoy
wonderful
it.
time.
Yeah.
Well, I know the other thing happening last week that we both had some level of participation with, and that was our state association. It's called Leading Age Virginia. So retirement communities, assisted living, home care providers, hospice can all become a member, and then there's a national affiliate, but we had our conference in Norfolk. So I know we were driving back and forth.
Yeah,
And
I know.
going over to it. A year ago, you were graduating from the academy,
Gosh, I know.
which was your year-long training and leadership.
Yeah.
And this year, Courtney, our director of marketing, graduated. So, you know, we've got a good little stretch of some alumni here.
I know, and I love it because those relationships, I feel like I really saw it this year being back at the conference, because that first session I went to and I saw some of my people, I was like, oh, those are my people. You know, that's a good feeling because you've shared with me early on, you've said you're going to notice over your career, you're going to start to go to these things, and you're not going to be around the Chesapeake people as much. You're going to be networking with all your people, and that stuck with me. And I really saw it this year of like, oh, I kind of want to hang with my people that, you know, I see you guys all the time, you know.
That's right.
But it's nice because you get to reconnect with folks and hear about what they're doing. And so it was cool this year to really kind of see that firsthand after graduating. And Courtney will have that
Yeah,
this time
and
next year.
magnifying it and then going from here, because I wouldn't be surprised if you don't head it to the National Academy or whatever else
Yeah,
you choose to do.
sure.
But it's a neat thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have the distinction, we have to maybe bring her on to announce it. Well, I'll announce it today. I've started it. But Barbara Jackson Ingram has been
Yes,
selected to be a
gosh,
coach.
that's
So she'll be
exciting.
coaching with another individual, the class of 2026. And so they'll be beginning their year-long journey here.
That's fun, and I feel like that's for her. She's going to do so great because she already has all of that skill set, and so I think she's really just going to. I think it's also going to be good for her to have that time to carve away, to go, and just to connect. It's just so needed. It gets hard in the hustle and bustle of everything, and so I'm happy for her. That's a good thing.
Yeah. So just to fill in the blanks, what we do is there's educational sessions, there's keynote, and of course I have to speak about the one, cycling
Cycling without age.
And I'll try to do my best so you can help me. What we witnessed was a father and son who came up on stage. And they basically we want to share with you a video, a movie. And we watched this movie, and it's about them learning of called a trishaw.
Trishaw, yes.
Trishaw. So envision a three-cycled bicycle, but the two wheels are in the front with a double capacity front seat.
Yeah.
The pilot or driver is behind them pedaling and an electric assist.
Yeah.
This trishaws have been coming out of Copenhagen. They're purchased. There's now groups throughout the United States in different areas. These men were from San Bernardino,
California.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
so California, and what they've now done is identify places that have these bikes. They have pilots or drivers, and they have found that it is magical in taking older adults on trips. They may be in a health center, they may be in assisted living, whatever, but they're putting them on a bike. They're going outside, fresh air, maybe a park area, and just the stories that are coming out of both. And they're just talking about how where someone may have been really quiet, all of a sudden they're on that bicycle and they're observing and talking. And fairly expensive purchase. These bikes coming now through through customs and all is $15,000 per bike. But for us to have one, a little higher quality than the first bikes we bought during the pandemic. Our rentals were a little bit tough.
Right.
But it'd be fine in a deliberate program. Pete Zummer, I think you got the energy to do this. It was fun. So what would you pick up from that whole movie and then witnessing the father-son?
I know that there needed to be tissues at the table because I was just a mess after that video. I think it was beautiful, obviously the father and son relationship, but even going back to how the father raised his son and brought his two children home from the hospital on a bike, you know, in the little camper thing in the back, which that was very a testament to, like you said, California in the 80s. Because I'm like, now they check you to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do. So it was just beautiful to see how that bike relationship had just transformed into this. That really caught me, struck me.
And the gentleman who we said looked like Sam Elliott.
He really did.
The actor that's got the real big white mustache and deep voice, Sam Elliott.
But also very,
He was cool. He had that
my
vibe.
uncle is like that too, and is very, so that kind of struck a chord with me too.
And he was a middle school teacher.
Yeah.
And
he
what
just
would you
was
guess?
So cool.
Is he 75?
Yeah, he did say he was 75 or 76, I would say.
Yeah.
So, and you could tell, and I think he shared, someone might have prompted him, maybe Melissa Andrews, who is, over leading age, what kind of struck a chord with some of these things. And he had said that he wished he had more time with his mom, that was what the father was saying. And this is the way, right? This is the way that he can also feel like he's connecting and giving back. But then in the documentary, it also showed, a daughter and father and how he's not verbal as much, but yet being outside and just that fresh air. And he gives me goosebumps talking about it, but they shared those intimate moments. So it was like, I can just see like some of our folks who they would have loved to do that in their time, but they're just not physically able now to be able to go out and do that. It's just such a beautiful thing.
There's one scene where, an experience where, again, there's the pilot behind who's just encouraging conversation, but then because it could handle two writers or two guests, it was a daughter and father. Father has become very quiet, not speaking much, and challenging because sometimes the daughter felt like, well, Dad, I placed you somewhere, I placed you in a care center, whatever. Well, on their ride together, he's like touching her and just saying, I love you.
I know. I was like, what?
And spoke and
Yeah.
connected. And it's like, and one lady, wrapped up in her little blanket.
And they provided blankets.
And
That was
put
nice.
blankets.
Yeah.
But then she just said, oh, it's so nice to be riding a bike. She's a passenger, but it was the experience of the air, and it's not being
Yeah.
pushed in a wheelchair. It's not just in a corridor. It's that little bit of movement
Speed.
and speed,
Yeah.
and not fast
No.
because but it's something. So anyways, we're just sharing with you an example. So what we now have to do is probably get a copy of the video, at least
I'm
a
gonna try to
clip,
find that,
and
yeah.
see if we can't share that with all of you.
Oh my gosh.
Because it could be something that we could have a chapter. We could have a number of volunteer pilots, and then between our own campus, maybe going into the Bayberry. Let's
Yeah.
call it Mayberry.
It's
RT.
okay,
Andy Griffith lives over there
I know.
in the Bayberry neighborhood, and we have enough safe journey areas that this thing could be most popular. And
Yeah.
heavens knows we got a lot of folks who would like to ride.
And just getting creative with it. I think that's what you and I were talking about. 'Cause
Yeah.
you see this documentary and you see all of this. Of course, it's set in California, so there's endless opportunities. But you have to just be creative with where you are.
And I think it's like, okay, what happens? A team member to break. You know what? I can eat an energy bar and take someone on a 30-minute ride.
That would be. I would
And
love that.
I could sign up for that. And you get 2 or 3 people over lunch hour that they're getting some exercise, they're engaging. It could be one of our team members who doesn't have as much time with all of you, but all of a sudden for 30 minutes they've got direct communication.
And one other comment that struck to me as well, I think the father had mentioned it, is he was saying, in other countries, you just see all different generations embedded throughout city life and things of this nature. He said, but in the United States, it's like you're bringing a senior adult into the community, and it's like everyone's like, oh, what is happening? And it's like that's their everyday life, and it's like this is another way to bring that in to normalize doing things like this at any age.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop at a certain age that you can't do this. It's just
Yeah.
being creative with how we do it.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting concept.
Yeah.
Just to hear that perspective, but.
So I think what you all are hearing is an example of how Candace and I, and there's several other team members from here, you're paying for us to go to these conferences.
Yeah.
We're going, listening to content, listening to examples. How can we improve, change, engage, affect your lives? And I think you heard a little bit of passion here
Yes.
about maybe us stepping into this venture.
And I'll say one other thing, a different topic, but one of those sessions that I attended was really, how can we increase the resident experience with activities and programming and things? And I mentioned to you, I said, we're going to have to figure out a way for ourselves to get on the docket, because we do so many amazing things that I think at this platform folks could really benefit from. Things we've started with first responders, and even Christmas at Chesapeake and our team member and resident engagement. We really, I think sometimes residents don't realize how many amazing things that we have going on here. And for myself as a activities person, going to these other, you really see it firsthand of like, wow, like we really do some amazing things. And for us to be able to share that, I think I'm personally going to try to explore that for the future. For sure.
That's good. So we've just covered last week, and now I guess we better
I
talk.
guess we should
got
talk
a couple
about
things
what's
happening this week.
Yes. All right. So kicking off Monday, we do have our shopping trip at 10 a.m. leaving from the Hampton entrance. Donna has her Color Your Life craft class at 2 p.m. in the Creative Arts Studio. I know last week she was sick, so I know folks were sad that they weren't able to do their craft class, but I know she has a lot of fun things coming up now that we're leading into the summer months, and a lot of nautical and beach-inspired things, so that's going to be fun. Hand chimes practice at 7 p.m. in the Chesapeake Room. Tuesday, folks are taking a day trip to Tangier Island. We did this last year and we had a wait list of folks, even though we had taken that big bus. So we're really like, okay, we're trying it again. And I know folks are excited who didn't get to go last time. So leaving at 7:15 from the Hampton entrance for Tangier. Now there's still maybe a few spots available if folks still want to go. Meet and greet is at 2:30 in the Chesapeake Room. And then 3:30, we do have our living libraries in the Explorer Room. And then the rabbi is going to be here at 7 p.m. to talk about Queen Esther. It's going to be his topic for the evening. This is another exciting thing happened on Wednesday. I know Caitlin and Grace are excited to launch their Bold Moves program in the aerobic studio. So folks who are interested in really learning about Parkinson's and folks who possibly have Parkinson's coming and having a specific tailored exercise program for you. I know we have some new residents who are really excited about this, but this is a program that's been a long time in the making, and we're excited that we can officially kick this off. 3 p.m. we do have our basic and intermediate German class in the Explorer Room. Wine Club, 5 p.m. in the Chesapeake Room. Be curious to see what their theme is this year, or this month. And then on Thursday, that's the 12th, 9 a.m., Rosary and Catholic Mass in the Explorer Room. Hymn sing at 2 p.m. in the Chesapeake Room. Do have entertainment that evening, Walt and Susan Stillman. I know they're a fan favorite in the Chesapeake Room. And then 7:15 p.m. going to Williamsburg Players presents Pippin, leaving from the Hampton entrance. Friday, 9:30 a.m., taking a trip to Lee Hall Mansion from the Hampton entrance. 10:15, we do have our Zumba Gold class in the aerobic studio. I know that's been a big hit. And then 7 p.m., Al's going to be doing a travelogue, a visit and fun to Facebook in the Chesapeake Room. And then on Friday, we have a decorative painting class, which is also Flag Day, in the Creative Art Studio at 1:30 with Miss Platzman. And then 7 p.m., we have a movie, Miss Willoughby and the Haunted Bookshop in the Explorer Room. So a full week.
Good. All right, I was listening to you, and I can't resist. After the hymn sing, do we ever do a her sing?
We shouldn't we? This whole time we've been
It's just been for the men only. I hope the women are singing.
Gosh, and hymn sing is serious business too. I mean, that is a production.
Yeah.
It really
Well,
is.
I think I know a couple of our leaders.
Yes, and I'll also mention too, because this does lead into Father's Day, is Sunday, that Sunday. So we do have at 9 a.m. from 9 to 11 in the Windjammer Lounge. There'll be donuts for Dad with a variety of different donuts that you can come, get a little sweet treat, and then go about whatever your day has planned.
Good. Well,
Yeah.
for fathers, enjoyed that day.
Most definitely.
Very nice.
So a full week.
So at this age, you have to start helping Clint plan to do, or does he come up
Oh
with his
yeah,
own
no,
ideas
I'm
now?
still, he has his own ideas. You know what's crazy? The other day I asked Clint, what are we going to get Dad for Father's Day? So Marcus and Clint love to find Cybertrucks out in the community. They love, like, if, oh, there's a Cybertruck. This, like, now we see them everywhere because you're looking for them.
Mm-hmm.
So we got him this little Cybertruck that's like a little Hot Wheel toy, because Clint was like, we need to get him a Cybertruck for Father's Day. I was like, okay, well, this is what's possible. We can't do that. So we have a little one
Good.
for him.
That's
But we
good.
also have some other things, but that Clint and I kind of thought that was funny.
Yeah. Now, the other thing you should start doing too is say, hey, Clint, it's not just what we get him, what do you do for him?
That's true, yeah.
And then say, do you want to wash Dad's car? Do we want his motorcycle?
Yeah, it'd
What
be
could
both,
we
because he'd
do?
be like, all right, now this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, because I remember, at some point the kid's like, oh, try to bring Dad breakfast in bed or do whatever.
That gets
and
tricky,
they-
yeah.
Yeah. I had daughters, so the daughters would try to
Right,
figure
yeah.
it all out. But
Can get messy really quick.
yeah, but
Yeah.
no matter what they made me, I always said, oh, this is delicious.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I had to say that.
And Clint loves to do, he loves to draw on things right now. So I know he's got a couple of, he's into, well, of course, my husband's into golf, but Clint also likes soccer. And so he'll show like him and his dad playing soccer with soccer ball, and he's gotten quite good. So I'm sure there'll be a card in the future that's some sort of artist's, artistry. So,
Very nice.
but it's fun to see what the kids come up with and what
Yeah.
they say, and kind of get their wheels turning. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's a good time.
And each year you're creating new experiences for him, and he's thinking differently, and
Yeah.
that's great.
It's fun. Fun phase, for sure.
Well, after this coming week, then I've got a couple days, and then I'll be
You're
going to join.
gone.
So
Oh my
perhaps
gosh.
the next time, well, maybe next week I'll film one, but I will be joining Vera over in Albania, and her parents are doing fine, and
Good.
I think Vera got over there. They all quickly got the flu between them,
Really?
and cleaned it
Oh,
out, and they're all fine
So
now.
they're good by the time you get there.
Yeah, just get
Oh my
get well.
gosh.
So I'll be joining them on June 18th, and
Oh, good. Okay.
and then
When do you return?
I won't be back until we get back in the country on July 3rd.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gone for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And so looking forward to
Okay.
that. And
Good for
in
you.
addition, Albania, we're going to catch a little boat and head up the Rhine River.
Ooh, that'll be nice.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So we'll experience.
You'll need to do a travel log
I
after.
will do.
It sounds
So
like it's coming.
I've been to all these 3 countries, but I've not been seeing them from this vantage point. So
Mm.
between Strasbourg, France, 3 stops in Germany, including Cologne, which is Uwe's home. So I've gotten a
Yeah.
couple ideas from Uwe about what to do while we're there.
Wow.
And then we'll have 2 stops in the Netherlands, and we'll actually fly home from Amsterdam.
That's going to be really nice.
So just a little different experience. I'm not
Yeah.
planning all of the connections and the trains and the planes and the vans. I'm letting somebody else.
Good for
So
you.
just
I'm proud of you
different.
for taking a step back.
You do
I
it
know
once
it's
in a
hard
while.
for you
Yeah.
to do.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
good for you to enjoy.
Good.
Excellent.
Real fine.
Okay.
Well, for everyone, until next time,
Mm-hmm.
we will just say thank you for joining us and have a great week.
All right.
Hello and welcome back to this special section of the Chesapeake Today Show. As always, we have great people to interview, and today I have Jeremy Flynn. Jeremy, welcome. Great having you part of the show today.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Well, and Jeremy, for all of you to know, has joined us as our staff development coordinator.
Yes, sir.
And also over quality improvement. So I know we have some nurses out there, and when it comes to just training team, growing them, monitoring our quality assurance program, we've got a good one here. So Jeremy, residents love to know about our residents. Where are you originally from?
I was actually born and raised in a small town in southern Idaho. We have about 20,000 people when I left.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, I would imagine that many cities in Idaho are pretty small.
Yeah, it's grown quite a bit since then, but yeah, when I was there, it was pretty small.
Okay. And when did you leave Idaho, and what brought you to a new location?
I joined the military, so I joined the Navy in I was 1998, and I've been here, besides when I was overseas and at schools since then, since about '99 actually.
Very good. Well, appreciate your service.
Thank
So
you.
a little bit more on your Navy work and career. What did you do there, and where were you? All did you travel?
Yeah, I was a corpsman, so I was a medic. I was in for just over 10 years. I got hurt at that mark, so I couldn't pass the screening, and I had to get out. But I've been Japan, Italy, Bahrain, little tiny island out in the middle of the Indian Ocean called Diego Garcia. Just kind of everywhere.
Very good. Well, again, I'm sure a very meaningful experience, and
Yeah.
sounded like that plus other interests got you into the medical profession. So what's been your professional journey?
So when I got out, I went to nursing school at that point. I'd actually planned on making a career in the military because I was halfway to retirement anyways. Then I went to nursing school and I became an ER nurse at Riverside Regional for a little over 7 years. And after that I did hospice for about 7 years. And now I'm here.
Very nice. Well, both, because when you think about it, yeah, we have situations here that it's great to have that quick assessment skills, what you've done with your first experience. Hospice, that comfort, that end of life, palliative care, what wonderful things to know, but great background. So you've been with us now for a couple months?
About 6 weeks now.
Alrighty. And why don't you help the residents, what have you already encountered, or tell us a little bit about what your job is, and then where you feel where it's going to grow towards.
Okay. So, I mean, the biggest two things are staff development, so education, training, the new hires, getting them through orientation, getting all their computer stuff set up, that type of thing. And then the other aspect of it is the quality assurance, making sure that we're following all the regulations that we're supposed to, following best practice, working with RIS, the DON, make sure everything is in place. We taking care of our residents as good as we possibly can.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Well, I know we've had a new orientation program that's started up, and that's it's a one lifestyle orientation where all of our team members come from Tuesday, Wednesday. Then the clinical team, any new additions, whether it's an RN, LPN, or staff, they're coming to you then.
Right.
And how many days do you have, or even into weeks? What's the typical routine of that new nurse who joins us?
So they'll do the next 2 days with me pretty much, and that's just computer-based learnings, getting all the regulatory stuff out of the way. Get through those, then they go to the floor, and let's just use healthcare for an example. They get their orientation set up with the DON, start learning the system, learning the residents, how things work, because nursing is nursing, but it's just learning the way different places nurse.
Mm-hmm.
So they go about doing that, and I check in on them, make sure their skills are getting checked off. You know, we don't have a lot of like new nurses. They've been nurses for a while, so they understand how it works, and just go and make sure that they know what they're getting into and being a resource.
Yeah. Well, I think as you describe the type of nurses that we attract, and you know, it's one thing I think to be in a hospital setting where they've got layers and a lot of redundancy, et cetera, and the new nurses can come in and perhaps be mentored and trained and more. Here, you know, one of our nurses, once they're going through your program, through orientation, I mean, they're caring for, you know, 15, 16, 17 residents in healthcare.
Right.
And that's a little different than that brand new nurse who maybe started in a hospital that's got 5 residents.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate us finding those mature nurses and bringing them to the knowing us, as you said.
Yeah, they just need the time to develop their routine, figure out how things flow, the personalities of the residents, those types of things. So it's kind of just, it's all encompassing. It's not just passing pills.
Yeah. So, you know, your career now is extending into decades. What's been some of the changes that you've seen in nursing? You know, when you first started, where we are today, what's been your awareness?
Oh my gosh. Quite a bit, because like I said, I started in the emergency room. So, you know, everything's go, 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 fast paced. And then going to the exact opposite, going into hospice and palliative care. You're spending more quality time with your patients at that point. You know, you're focusing on quality and not quantity of days. So you get to know them a little bit better, those types, you know, that type of stuff. And then when you get to what we're doing here, it's kind of the same in the fact that you're getting to know the residents. They're going to be here, you know, with it being a lifelong community. The goal is for them to be here for a while. So just seeing and you know, you see the different medical innovations that have come out, the safety innovations especially. When I first started, there was some, but now every thing you do, every procedure, everything has multiple layers of safety, and it's all data driven by studies. So it's a lot safer for the residents and the nurses.
Yeah. Well, hearing those changes, and just said they just keep accelerating every day.
Oh, absolutely.
What's changing, what's moving, and just amazing. I know here you'll be a part of it and instrumental as we, over the next few months, introduce a new electronic medical record system.
Right.
And Point Click Care. Did you have any exposure to that? Have you heard of that prior coming to us?
The only thing I've heard about it is everybody likes it much more than Matrix Care.
Yeah.
In the hospital, we had
Epic?
Epic, yes. And then when I was a hospice nurse, everything was remote. You did all on a tablet.
Yeah.
And it was called Home Care Home Base everywhere I worked. So it was a very MS-DOS type system, very basic.
And when we said that word epic, and I think for any of us, just like in my own life, I'm a patient of the Riverside Health System. My physicians are there. So me getting into MyChart and Epic, and I'm experiencing it as a consumer, and it's sort of best practice in the hospital world. This Point Click Care product we're going to is the best practice. It's the best available in senior living. So as you alluded to, yeah, we do have some of our nurses who've experienced it, and they love it, and it's going to be a busy but exciting time.
I think so too, and it's, like I said, everybody has said how much better it is. They rant and rave about it and how it's just so much easier it's more efficient, so I'm excited for it.
Yeah, and the thing that, and on one hand for your residents it will be invisible, but what our team will be experiencing in July and August and even into September, a lot of training. You know, our nurses will still be caring for you and working the floors, et cetera, but they're also going to have time dedicated to training. A lot of extra effort. In fact, we're even bringing in an additional company to help us. And just as we may try to help out Glebe, our sister community who's implemented it first, then it will be ourselves and Culpeper. some nurses from the other communities may come to help supplement us.
Right.
Because a big learning curve, we'll have to keep a couple redundant systems for a short period of time, both Matrix Care and Point Click Care. And then, as quick as we can, put to rest Matrix Care and have our new system going.
Yeah, I worked at Riverside when they switched to Epic. So we had to go through multiple classes and everything, and then they had people on the floor 24/7 for, I can't remember how long, making sure everybody knew what they were doing, because different roles could chart different things, and just learning the system itself.
Yeah. Well, that experience will be valuable here because you're going to be helping to guide our nurses as we all learn this together. So that's fantastic. Within the role that you have and the quality improvement, any program ideas, anything's out of the gate? Because again, you said 6 weeks. Anything that you said, wow, this is something that I have in my background, I would love to implement, something that would help us? Anything come to mind?
Not off the top of my head, to be honest with you, but it's been a lot of learning, because this is the first time I've worked inside of a community or facility, however you want to refer to it. I've been here seeing hospice patients for years, so I know the community and the area and everything like that, but it's a different world for me, so I always have to get clarification. I'm like, okay, explain this to me, why it's done this way, or can we do it this way, that type of thing. It's just a lot of bouncing ideas back and forth, just trying to get an understanding of the different worlds, because everywhere in healthcare is mainly governed by Medicare and Medicaid, but they all have different regulations.
Yeah, very much so. Well, I know it's a continued journey. Every day we learn something new and different, not just about our residents, but the systems and the regulations that we're all governed by.
Oh, yes.
But it is something. So when you're not working, when you're not nursing, not teaching, what's your hobbies? What do you like to do for fun?
I stay busy, that's for sure. I run, bike, work out, do that a lot. I love to cook out. I have a wife, 3 kids. They're all teenagers, so I stay busy, that is for sure.
That's great. So children at school level, are they out of the home yet, or where are you at?
No, 13, 15, and 17. The oldest will be a senior next year, so we're doing the whole college search and everything like that. He's in all advanced classes, so he can't wait for summer so he can shut his brain off for a little bit. But I gave him a task of looking up all the scholarships and doing all that stuff, because he's smarter than I ever could hope to be. So I just want to keep him going.
Yeah. Well, exciting time. And yeah, those college visits are fun. It's just, oh my gosh, there's just so many choices.
Yeah.
And how do you properly guide them? And and they could be happy and successful and grow at so many places. And it's a fascinating search.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's what we've researched so far. It's eye-opening. Just the costs of the way college has gone up, since I was able to go to college. It's just astronomical at this point.
Yeah. It's a lifelong investment, so it's a difficult decision. And boy, those scholarships and help can be a part
absolutely.
of it.
Yeah.
And you'll be with us a year next year, so next spring you'll be able to apply for a scholarship through LifeSpire.
Nice.
Because there's a VBH scholarship fund, and employees can apply for themselves, for their children, or even grandchildren.
Oh.
And I think the only criteria, once you're here 1 year, you'll be eligible for make that application form. So just hopefully you'll be able to add to any other scholarships he automatically gets, because they
Right.
can leverage each other.
Yeah, and I did know that. I didn't know like what the requirements were, and I just my plate's a little full, so that was kind of on the list of things to know.
Yeah.
So that's good to know.
So I've helped you out.
Yeah.
So
Oh, absolutely.
but it will be something there, and again, it is a wonderful program, and many of our residents, many of us donate into that scholarship fund. So we want those dollars to be capped and be great for our team members, children benefiting from them.
Well, that'd be great.
Yeah. Well, sounds like a busy family, busy household.
Yeah.
Grilling out, any specialty meats, any foods you like to grill out?
One of my favorites, honestly, is to smoke a ham. So we get it for Easter and Christmas. It's already, ham's already essentially smoked, so you're just, when you put it in the oven, you're just heating it up. But I put it on the grill with barbecue sauce and seasoning and stuff like that, and I smoke it for about 5 or 6 hours, and it's everybody's favorite.
So you're sealing in the flavors because you've got a pre-cooked meat.
Yeah,
And you're
exactly.
So very good.
Yeah.
Oh, so if we ever have some type of employees bring a food to try, we'll have to engage you. I'd like to try some of that.
Yeah, I'll have to get the day off beforehand because it takes so long to cook.
Oh, I bet. I've got a small smoker, and I will at times enjoy that. I have another, this gas grill, turn it on. It's natural gas, so it's an easy to go.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just the whole array of grills, of smokers, flat irons. I grew up, I don't know about you, I remember all we had was this little round thing that Dad put charcoal in.
Yep.
And when he finally stepped up to a kettle Weber grill, we thought that was a cat's meow.
Oh yeah, when my dad got a gas grill or propane, everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, that's like the greatest thing ever."
Yeah.
And now I've got two. I've got the charcoal and I've got a pellet grill that I can use as a smoker as well.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But just the array of them is
Yeah.
crazy.
You go into a Lowe's or Home Depot's and you got a quarter of the store now just grills.
I know. That's the only reason I go half the time.
Yeah,
Just to
see
look.
what's there. Oh goodness. Well, and again, for guys anymore, it's like well, sure, give me a second or third grill for Father's Day. That's okay.
Exactly. And that's next week. So
That's
I guess
right.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, maybe you may get something.
There you go.
Awesome. Well, Jeremy, wonderful having you part of the team. Hey, appreciate your time on
Thank
this
you.
interview
I
today.
appreciate it.
And the residents, again, you need to know we have great nurse managers within our team, within the health center, and helping us throughout the continuum. And Jeremy Flynn is an example of it. So until next time, have a great week, and thanks for being with us.